Welcome to Money in the Air, the music podcast about neighboring rights, the royalties you earn from the public performance of your recordings and the business of music in general. Brought to you by IAFAR, the International Association for Artists and Rights Holders.
I'm Andrew, co-founder and chief royalty officer of Royalty.
Hi, I'm Gina Deacon. I work for Absolute Rights Management and I work with record labels and artists to ensure we claim the royalty income due to them.
I'm Stacey Haber and I'm from Inside Baseball Music Publishing.
Hey, welcome back to Money in the Air, the Neighbouring Rights podcast brought to you by IAFAR, the International Association for Artists and Rights Holders. A great idea to talk about the big Christmas song, All I Want for Christmas Is You, Mariah Carey.
So what we're thinking today for the holiday season, since this is one of the top holiday songs that's played every single year, and especially on the radio, it's a very radio-friendly song. Take apart all the credits, who would get paid what, and how this song would shake out from an earnings perspective. And if you have any of these roles that are credited on this song, please take a listen because this podcast episode definitely applies to you.
Contracted featured performer is easy, isn't it? It goes to Mariah. Columbia is the label, so it's part of Sony. Gets the rights holder share. Mariah Carey gets the featured artist share. Now, what about the non-featured artists?
Well, before we get on to the non-featured artists, I wanted to talk about the fact that Sony, since the recording was created here in the United States, how would that shake out internationally?
Sony has subsidiaries all around the world, so they will be collecting in the rest of the world the performer share and the label share. For instance, Sony UK will collect the performer share and the label share from PPL and send it through to Sony label in the US. Whether Sony gives the performer share to Mariah Carey, another story. You remember I got into Neighbouring Rights because I had a super group where the band was not getting it from Sony. They could have come round to the way everybody else is thinking.
But because the recording was created in the United States, it would exclude them from traditional broadcast internationally.
No, so broadcast in the rest of the world, whoever paid broadcast would still pay the subsidiary in each territory. It just wouldn't get US broadcast through Sound Exchange.
They would, by collecting through their subsidiaries in the UK, essentially they would be able to have a fuller recognized neighboring rights, say, in the UK. So if All I Want for Christmas was played on BBC Radio,
yes,
it would get paid to Sony
yes.
Music UK.
Yes.
Got it. That makes sense.
Good.
We wanted to then jump into, there are a bunch of other contributors to this recording, namely her producer, co-producer, Walter, who is credited with a lot of roles such as synthesizer, keyboard, organ, and also programming, which we wanted to discuss here. But on the recording, there are some other background musicians such as keyboards, guitar, and 3 other background vocalists listed here. This would mean that for every single time the recording is played, there is going to be a non-featured pool of earnings that will get divvied out between the session musicians and the background vocalists. And here in the United States, session musicians and background vocalists share equally in the 5% that Sound Exchange collects. The 3 background vocalists would get split for their background vocalist share, and then the session musicians would get split in proportion to the number of background musicians for their share.
So the way it works out mathematically is Sound Exchange sends 5% of the collections to the AFM. The AFM will pay on this song because it's in the top 25% of earners. They will take half of that 5%, so 2.5% for the background vocalists. So each background vocalist will get 1/3 of 2.5%. And then the session players will get their pro rata share of the other 2.5%, correct?
That is correct. Absolutely. So
Cool.
In some cases, it's more advantageous because there are more or less session musicians or background vocalists to split that 2.5% that's paid out from Sound Exchange revenue every single year.
Yeah. And it does add up. I mean, it sounds like small numbers, but it definitely adds up for this song. At Sound Exchange, the featured artist can do a letter of direction designating a certain portion of the featured artist royalties in favor of the producer. So if that was done here, Walter might collect as a featured artist as well as a non-featured artist.
That's correct.
We have no way of knowing, but that
would
is
be
a
up to
possibility.
Mariah's discretion to allocate.
That's
I mean, it's a contractual obligation if there is a contract stipulating that that needs to happen, but ultimately it's up to the artist's discretion since that is coming out of the featured artist, contracted featured artist share of earnings.
Correct. So always a good thing to negotiate that up front if you're doing a producer agreement for a big artist.
Absolutely. And
yeah, the difference between sharing in the 45% versus the 5% is huge.
It's absolutely huge. And my advice on that is whenever a producer does an agreement with an artist, sure, the typical language in there is going to be a certain percentage of the royalties that the label collects. However, there's the other piece of that, which is definitely applicable for US producers to get that Sound Exchange letter of direction inside of that contract and signed with the appropriate percentage completed, as much detail as you have. Do it when the deal is executed. Otherwise, chasing those things down, it's a coin flip.
Oh yeah, you won't be able to do it afterwards for sure.
Yeah. Very difficult.
That's good. I don't think we missed anything there, do you?
I don't think we missed anything either.
Good. Well, that was really nice. Happy holidays, everybody. And we'll see you in the new year. I hope you have a lovely festive period, especially you, Andrew. Thank you so much. It's been another great year, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Stacey. You too.
Take care, everyone. Bye.